What if death is not the end, but a doorway to an extraordinary journey, one filled with dazzling lights, divine beings, and the ultimate chance at liberation? For centuries, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo Thodol, has served as a mystical guide to the afterlife, unlocking the secrets of what happens after we take our final breath. Written in the 8th century by the legendary Buddhist master Padmasambhava, and later discovered by Karma Lingpa in the 14th century, this ancient text offers an unparalleled look into the Tibetan Buddhist understanding of death, rebirth, and enlightenment. But this is not just a book for the dead. It is a profound manual for the living, teaching us how to navigate life's illusions and prepare for the inevitable. Unlike conventional religious scriptures, the Tibetan Book of the Dead does not simply comfort the grieving or promise a paradise in the afterlife. Instead, it provides a raw, unfiltered look at the bardo, the mysterious intermediate state between death and rebirth. Here, the soul encounters a series of visions, some beautiful, others terrifying, all reflections of its own mind. The text describes 3 distinct stages: the bardo of dying, where one first experiences the pure, radiant light of ultimate reality; the bardo of dharmata, where deities and illusions test the soul's understanding; and the bardo of becoming, where one's karma pulls them toward their next incarnation. Traditionally, monks or family members read these sacred passages aloud to the dying or recently deceased, guiding their consciousness through this unseen realm in hopes that they will recognize the illusions, break free from the cycle of samsara, and attain enlightenment. But here's the real secret. This journey is not just about what happens after we die. According to Tibetan Buddhism, life itself is a bardo, an illusionary passage that constantly prepares us for the next great transition. Every choice we make, every attachment we cling to, every fear we nurture shapes not only our existence, but our destiny beyond death. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not merely a spiritual text. It is a psychological roadmap to the unknown, offering wisdom that challenges our understanding of reality itself. What if everything we fear about death is just an illusion? What if we have the power, even after death, to change our fate? As we explore the fascinating teachings of this ancient text, we will uncover hidden truths about consciousness, reincarnation, and the mind's role in shaping our reality, both in this life and the next. So, are you ready to journey beyond the veil and discover what awaits in the afterlife? Let's begin. Imagine standing in the dim glow of butter lamps, the scent of incense curling through the air. A monk, dressed in deep crimson robes, kneels beside the body of the deceased, holding an ancient, weathered manuscript. His voice, steady and rhythmic, begins to chant, guiding the soul on its final journey. This is the sacred ritual of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo Thodol, a text not meant for the living, but for those who have passed beyond the veil. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, death is not the end. It is a transition, a moment of profound transformation. But without guidance, the soul may become lost in the vast, dreamlike realms of the bardo, the intermediate state between death and rebirth. For 49 days, monks or family members sit by the deceased, reading the words of the Bardo Thodol aloud. The text describes what the soul will experience: visions of dazzling lights, peaceful deities, and terrifying illusions. These are not external forces, but reflections of the mind itself. If the soul recognizes them as mere projections, it can achieve liberation, breaking free from the endless cycle of reincarnation. But if fear takes hold, if attachments to life cloud the soul's clarity, it may drift toward rebirth, bound once again to the suffering of samsara. This is why the readings continue, day after day, calling out to the wandering consciousness, reminding it of its true nature. It is not just a funerary ritual. It is a final act of love, a last chance to awaken. Have you ever wondered what happens after death? Not just the physical end, but the journey beyond, through realms unseen, where the soul faces visions of beauty and terror, peace and chaos. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, an ancient text whispered through the mountains of Tibet for centuries, thought it does not merely describe death. It prepares the soul for its greatest transition. But beyond the mystery and the rituals, this book is filled with deep symbolism and profound lessons that resonate far beyond the moment of passing. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo Thodol, describes the bardo, the state between death and rebirth. Here, the soul encounters visions, some celestial, some terrifying. These visions are not external forces, but manifestations of the mind. The peaceful deities, glowing with divine light, symbolize wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. If the soul embraces them, it moves towards liberation. But then come the wrathful deities, fierce, monstrous figures that seem to torment the soul. Yet these too are mere reflections of one's own fears, attachments, and unfulfilled desires. The lesson? Fear is an illusion. Our suffering is self-created. Another powerful symbol is the clear light, the brilliant radiance that greets the soul upon death. It represents ultimate truth, pure consciousness, and enlightenment. But many souls, unprepared and clinging to their past lives, turn away from this light, seeking the familiar, and thus they are drawn back into the cycle of rebirth. The lesson? Freedom lies in letting go. Only by surrendering to the truth can one escape suffering. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not just for the dying. It is a guide for the living. It teaches us that life itself is a bardo, a transitional state where we constantly move from one moment to the next, one phase of existence to another. The chaos, the struggles, the fleeting nature of everything, these are reminders that clinging leads to suffering, but acceptance leads to peace. It also teaches mindfulness in death and life. Tibetan monks practice imagining their own death, not as a morbid exercise, but as a way to cultivate detachment and clarity. If we lived every day with the awareness that nothing is permanent, how much more present, kind, and fearless would we be? So what does the Tibetan Book of the Dead truly teach us? It tells us that death is not an end, but a passage, that our fears and attachments shape our reality, both in life and beyond, and that the key to true liberation lies in awareness, surrender, and embracing the truth without fear. Perhaps in understanding death, we learn how to truly live. Imagine for a moment that every action you take, every word you speak, and even every thought you have is like a ripple in an endless ocean, an energy that never disappears but instead returns to shape your future. This is the essence of karma, a force so powerful that it determines the course of our rebirth, dictating where and how we return after death. But how does this mysterious law work, and what role does it play in the cycle of existence? Karma, in its simplest form, is the law of cause and effect. It is not a system of reward and punishment, but rather a natural balance of energy, our past actions influencing our present, and our present shaping the future. In Tibetan Buddhism, karma is the key that unlocks the door to our next life. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes how, after death, the soul enters the bardo, an in-between state where the weight of karma determines what happens next. For those who have cultivated kindness, wisdom, and compassion. The journey may lead to a higher plane of existence, or even enlightenment. But for those burdened by harmful actions, the path may lead to suffering, pulling them into lower realms or another cycle of worldly struggles. Consider a person who has lived a life of generosity, always helping others, speaking truthfully, and practicing patience. Their karma is like a bright flame, guiding them towards a peaceful rebirth. Now imagine another person consumed by anger, greed, and deception. Their karma becomes a heavy weight, dragging them into a world of difficulty, pain, or confusion in the next life. This is not divine judgment. It is simply the natural unfolding of energy, a reflection of the choices made in this life. But karma is not just about action. It is also about intention. A seemingly small act of kindness, done with a pure heart, can carry enormous karmic weight. Likewise, harmful actions, even if unintended, may have less impact if they arise from ignorance rather than malice. This is why Buddhist teachings emphasize mindfulness, not only in what we do, but in how and why we do it. For those who seek freedom from the endless cycle of birth and rebirth, understanding karma is essential. Through meditation, ethical living, and self-awareness, one can purify negative karma and cultivate positive energy. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches that even in the bardo, after death, one has a final chance to recognize the true nature of reality and break free from karma's cycle altogether. So, what does this mean for us in the here and now? It means that every moment is an opportunity. Every thought, every word, and every action plants a seed for the future. To live with kindness, wisdom, and compassion is to shape not only this life, but the next. And perhaps in the end, the greatest lesson of karma is this: our destiny is not written by an outside force, but by our own hands, our own hearts, and our own choices. And so, as you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, what kind of karma are you creating today? And where might it lead you tomorrow? Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be present, to exist fully in the moment, without the weight of the past or the anxieties of the future? In the modern world, our minds are constantly racing, jumping from one thought to another, lost in an endless stream of worries, plans, and distractions. But what if there was a way to quiet the noise, a way to find peace, clarity, and true awareness? This is the power of meditation and mindfulness. For centuries, meditation has been at the heart of spiritual traditions, from the monks of Tibet to the sages of ancient India. It is more than just a practice. It is a path to enlightenment, a doorway to inner peace. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, like many Buddhist teachings, speaks of the power of a focused mind, a mind free from chaos and attachment. It teaches that in life and in death, awareness is the key to liberation, and meditation is the tool that cultivates this awareness. But what exactly is meditation? It is often misunderstood as simply sitting in silence, but it is much deeper than that. Meditation is the art of training the mind, of observing thoughts without becoming attached to them. It is learning to witness the present moment with full awareness, without judgment or resistance. And when practiced consistently, it transforms not just our minds, but our entire lives. Scientific research now confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. Meditation reduces stress, improves concentration, and even enhances emotional well-being. Studies have shown that those who meditate regularly experience lower levels of anxiety and depression. Their minds are clearer, their emotions more balanced, their bodies healthier. But beyond the scientific benefits, meditation is a doorway to self-discovery. It allows us to see the patterns of our thoughts, to understand our fears, our desires, and our attachments. It helps us break free from the illusions of the ego, revealing the true nature of existence. In the Tibetan tradition, meditation is not just about relaxation. It is preparation for death itself. Because when the moment of death comes, it is the mind that leads the way. And a mind that has been trained in mindfulness, a mind that has learned to let go, will not be lost in fear or confusion. It will recognize the truth. So how do we cultivate this practice? The simplest way is through breath awareness, focusing entirely on the breath, feeling each inhale and exhale, each time the mind wanders, gently bringing it back to the breath. Over time, this simple practice strengthens our ability to remain present, even in the chaos of everyday life. Mindfulness, on the other hand, is the ability to carry this awareness beyond meditation, into every moment, every action, whether eating, walking, or speaking. Mindfulness teaches us to be fully engaged, fully alive. When we practice mindfulness, life itself becomes a meditation. In a world filled with distractions, meditation and mindfulness are the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. They are not just practices, they are a way of living, a path to inner freedom. And the more we cultivate them, the more we awaken to the truth of our existence. Because in the end, all we ever truly have is this moment. And this moment is where enlightenment begins.